Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Gaming with Blockchain. I'm your host, A and we are here with Upland. They just wrapped up their Genesis Week 2021, and what a week it was. It was full of different activities. I have to say, it was lively, chatty, from the Discord channels to the Telegram channels, and if you weren't sure about Upland, I hope you took time to kind of explore. It gave everybody a bit of chance to see the possibilities of what Upland has yet to offer. So what do we have in Genesis this week? I'm not gonna go through every single detail. I did hit up on it a bit last week, but this was your chance to gain some UpX, earn some Spark, win ultra rare properties, participate in some auctions, and so much more. And they also had their MAA year-end celebration, because remember, this is now year two for the Upland game, entering into year three. And so, what was the all this fuss all about? It's just growth. It's purely about growth and what's moving ahead. So we had the MAA discussion earlier in this week, and hopefully you can go back and review it if you haven't. And I'll probably try to find it and put it in the show notes as well as a link. And they talked about what's been the cornerstone of the Upland mythos is to rebuild the world. It is their tagline. Is something they mentioned in the AMA. They're really building the world, and what does that mean? So part of that means is that they want to bring in strategic partnerships as well. So they've been working on that, and they do have one that they mentioned that they're bringing on board. They also want to and plan to open up the API, which is really great. Which means that you as a player, or you want to look at your property management tools, they're looking to improve how that works as well. So you want to scroll through the properties, you want to look at your properties maybe by city, or maybe put in a search, and then you can find a particular list of a shorter list of names that you want to correspond with. Or maybe two, in-game messaging, where you can click to a player's property or name and send them a message. All these little tweaks that will hopefully will help with APIs and the third party. Now I imagine that this is going to work similar to like the app stores, where like Apple or Google app stores, there has to be vetted process where the developers have to submit the application, it has to be reviewed, and back and forth tweaking, and then is approved. But at least it shows Upland's understanding that they have to kind of expand the utilities and in-game experience a bit more, because they can't do everything, and they really shouldn't have to do everything. But as long as you can secure that the developers that do it are following the right guidelines. So this is a part of the other scavenger hunt that had happened. You had to register for certain events, and it was all in good fun. There was so many good opportunities to receive your UpX and to again gain some spark if you needed to, or if you wanted to. So hopefully, like I said, don't mind me. Scavenger hunts and all these things are just not my forte. It's not my style, but doesn't mean it has to be. It's not to be your style. It is something that you enjoy and you're really good at. Go for it. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's why I'm posting it here. It worked well for several players. They've had a great time, and you should see the leaderboards that were in place. Now, the other thing that was mentioned in the MAA was now how they modified the marketplace. And what that meant or means is that they have decided to change how their processes will work in terms of how they sell NFTs or any specialized NFTs. They want to make sure that the fairness, or say the distribution of the NFTs, are spread a broader network of players rather than a smaller pool. And I've done this through a process of where you have to first register, and then once you register, you put in queue, and then when your time comes up, you've been notified via an email that your turn is about to approach, so be ready to purchase if the quantity still remains available. And I think that's pretty cool, because again, especially in this early stage, you want to make sure that the features of any new release is spread accordingly. It's not locked to a few players. So we'll take a look at that in a moment. So here we have some of the images that represent the new marketplace. Took the screenshots because I knew by the time this recording will happen, some of these features will be lost. But you can see right now is that this is what's here. You will get an amount of what's left in the inventory. But then you will have to be told, okay, you have to register and then be put in a queue, and it will tell you when that queue options will be released to you. So this is what will be the new marketplace mechanics for specialized images or specialized NFTs, not for the whole, not for everything that they release, but for some key elements that they plan to develop. So just an FYI where that's concerned. That's part of the MAA and part of the new features. Now, what does that mean now? Let's take a look at what's going on in the game. So here's it's wrapped. They had the closing ceremonies last night. You can have more details in the Discord, and it was just like I said, a great way to show what 2 years has accomplished so far. So you could say you could look forward for year 3, and it was nice too that they had this little icon here that gave you the updates on what was going on day by day. So now this is what I received in my launch. I didn't launch since last night because I knew I was doing this recording, and once you see everything live, it's better. This now presents the Spark. This is what that was handed out to everybody in the community, and you can imagine what that means. So I was granted 5.05 Spark tokens waiting for me to collect. I'll collect my Spark. It'll take a few minutes to show up in the inventory, but you can imagine now if everyone has their Spark and they have a property in San Francisco, they're going to be able to start building. It's going to be now the building zone, and you can see it right here. As of last week, this was not really the case. Not many properties were popping up everywhere to start to build, and now we're starting to see that. We're starting to see all these little areas start to show up, and everyone's starting to build in their neighborhood or in their property they have in their listing, and which is really nice. Now everyone has to understand that the properties that you build are permanent, right? These are not something that you can undo. You have to go through the demolishing stage if you don't want to keep them, but this is what's going on right now. And now what has also been announced is that there will be other ways in which to receive Spark. That's going to be again other mechanics that will be deployed. Possibility maybe to buy some for a short period of time. That's yet to be confirmed, but there'll be other ways in which to do it. I can now, if I want to, I think if it's in place, I can contribute to this build as well if I wanted to. Those are all the options that are now in place, ready to go. So it's going to show an enhancement in the game every time you log in. It will be interesting to see how all this will change in a few days as the builds continue to come about. And you just can imagine how the landscape's going to change. If you remember the Spark Wars, those are also random. Everyone's doing all these different things. But now let's see how it will pan out differently, knowing that these are very permanent. Now, to wrap up, what's going on now with the new cities? We have hints that Cleveland's around the corner. So here's some of the mapping for Cleveland. And does that mean that we want to only see the options in place that belong to only one area? Some people are concerned that there's too much cities being built. I have to say, okay, well, here's a little question. If you weren't there for Fresno, you weren't there for Clovis, you'll understand why. It's one thing, it's disheartening for a new player to come into a game and they've been hearing so much about, and then they can't do anything. This is to kind of remove that element of disappointment for a new player, that there's something that they can go to and achieve without buying on a secondary market. This is not, this is not supposed to be first come first serve in a growth mechanic process. You want to have enough supply, just enough supply that any new entry could come on board and scout the game and travel and look and see, okay, well, I like this property, maybe head over this city, or however they wish to enter. So having enough of a supply as the game continues to evolve and grow is crucial. And I think having Cleveland just around the corner is not a bad idea at all. So what else do we have here? So as you can see, what did they bring in? Who's the brand that they brought in? They brought in Crypto Motors. This is a group of individuals who have actual professions in car design. They're actual car designers, and they've now expanded their skill set to making car designs, but for the UNFTs. So they design UNFTs for the Ethereum chain, and they've made all these different styles of car racers or sedans, if you want to call it, as an NFT. But now they've partnered up with Upland to design cars for Upland. And what does that mean? Now, is it going to be just as an NFT, or is it going to be also utility in-game use? And I believe it's going to be, when I kind of hear it, it's going to be an in-game use. So you can imagine you have a car that you're driving around that you purchased, and it's going to be based on the travel mechanisms of any other travel system, like most mapping, like TamTam, Apple or Google Maps, where the pedestrians travel at X amount of speed, a car travels X amount of speed. So I'm sure they use the same variables. But it will be interesting now to find out, well, okay, if I get to an intersection, there's going to be stoplights, maybe not just yet, or if I'm crossing an intersection of the train, the train going from San Francisco to Fresno, do I have to stop at the cross lights? So all these things with the new crypto motors is going to be one of the first brands entering the Upland space and bringing additional utility in the game. So I think that'll be something that everyone's going to be excited for and looking forward to see, along with the properties, as I mentioned, where there's going to be other options of property builds. They're looking at bringing in a few more selective choices. Other build categories. The blockchain decor is supposed to be releasing sometime in maybe the next few weeks, or definitely before the end of the year, I imagine, to add other enhancements to the property structure itself. So hopefully this has been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed the Genesis week. I hope this has brought new possibilities or new concepts and understanding of what it means when they say to rebuild the world. This is all layer by layer, step by step, but it is one of the promises that they set out to set for themselves. And if you listen to MAA, you can definitely hear it in their description. So until next time, until we touch base again, we'll see you on the other side. Take care.